Okay, I couldn't be more excited, friends, that you tuned in and showed up for this week's session of the Dirty F Word Lessons We Learned from Our Failures. Because I have an amazing woman who's had an extraordinary career. Please meet my friend, Catherine Lane, morning host at New Country 1037 here in Charlotte, and an American Country Music Award winner, on air personality of the year in the past, but she's had 17 nominations and she's nominated again this year. And so, the amazing Catherine Lane, thank you so much for your time.
Hi, Amy. Oh, thank you so much. And that 17 nominations, that was collective with the whole team. So I just want to make that clear. But thank you for that lovely introduction. It's so good to see you, friend.
Oh, I am so grateful that we've had the ability to connect. I mean, it was several years ago that we actually met each other when PBS nationally did a country music documentary. And PBS Charlotte, the station that I lead, created a local companion program called Country in the Carolinas. And we were able to partner with you and your amazing co-host, Rob, and
Yes.
and I'm Tanner. And so Tanner in the morning, and you guys were so great. And you came and you hosted an event for a premiere party. And you guys were rock stars. Just, and it's just such an honor, though, to have the opportunity to reconnect with you.
Thank you so much. And of course, you and I just clicked immediately. We got out of the studio. I was like, I love that girl. She's my kind of girl. So I'm happy to be here. Yes, back to you. Boo-boo.
I know. And since we're doing it, we're recording this in February, no matter when you may be watching it, and learning from the lessons still apply. But again, throughout this year, I've been talking to friends from all over the country, all over the world, actually, who have been kind enough to share their lessons that they've learned from some of the failures in their life. And since this is February, the month of love, uh, I thought it would be great to talk to my friend Catherine, and she's got a story. It's a personal story. It's a story of love, and it's a story of marriage, and it's a story of sometimes, as we've been married a while, the grass can look greener on the other side. And I'm just going to leave it at that, Catherine, and let you go from there.
Oh my goodness. Where do I start? From the very beginning?
Well,
Um,
friend.
Well, I met my husband when we were babies. I was 16 and he was 19, and we dated through high school. We dated through college. And at that time, the next thing you do is you get married. And we were, of course, happy to do that, and very, very happy. And before you knew it, we had crazy careers. He's a law enforcement officer. He's swinging shifts. I've done morning radio most of my career. At one point, I was doing morning radio, doing some TV in the afternoons, had 2 kids. So things just got really, really crazy, and we definitely disconnected. Now, by this time, we had been married about 10 years. So we were just feeling a big disconnect. I would hand the kids to him when he would walk in the door. We literally never saw each other. We were just ships passing in the night.
I
Um,
got you there, because what person listening can't relate to the fact of what I've called tag team parenting? I've been there where, you have two income families where everybody works and you're trying to raise a family, and it's like, tag, you're it, I'm off, I'm at the office, I'm on, you're off. And those are really difficult times.
it is a difficult time, and you really have to make sure that you make time for each other. I think we really took each other for granted. I was very vocal about the fact that, I'm dying here. And he was so busy. I mean, he had a full career, and I don't think he was hearing me. Now, my husband didn't do anything wrong in this process. Let me just tell you that right off the bat. I was the one that was sort of sinking in the marriage, and feeling like that maybe there was something better that life had to offer out there for me.
Well, women are from Mars, men are from Venus, or if it's the other way around, that's half of our challenge. And that's a communication lesson right there, because so many women will say what you say, that our husbands don't hear what we're saying to them because they're just wired differently than we are.
Well, exactly. And, we had been with one another for so long. I think we took each other for granted. I think he thought, oh, I hear you, but I'm not really going to do anything about that, or help us work on anything about that. And that's no fault of his. That was just, he was busy working and trying to make a living and trying to raise these kids with me. And we really put the marriage on the back burner. Before you know it, I was ready to separate. And I'm not proud of that, but that was a decision that I made at the time. And even though I loved him, I just felt I didn't feel in love with him. I
Because
felt
we expect there to be fireworks. And I'm sorry,
right.
but right when as we mature and we get busy in life, sometimes fireworks fizzle a bit.
Yeah, but there's a lot to be said for a good solid ember. I'm telling you. And I discovered that later on. But so I felt like, and I was young. I mean, we married when I was in my early 20s. And I made the decision to separate. He did not want to, but that's what we ended up doing. But even in the lawyer's office, we were crying. We both loved each other, but I felt like the marriage was broken and it just wasn't working anymore. So we did divorce. I end up meeting a man in church, and he seemed like the answer to my prayers, a deacon in the church, a vocalist in the church. I was very into church, and it felt like, this was going to be a wonderful match. Long story short, it was not a wonderful match. It was miserable towards the end. I mean, I did love this man. We did have all those sparks, that you have in the very beginning. But when the rubber hit the road, it turned out that we just were not good together. So as that marriage was ending and we were separating, and I was feeling like a 2-time failure at this point, my daughter started, she was having trouble with all this. She had trouble with the divorce in the beginning. She did not get along with her stepdad. My daughter announced to us, or actually my husband was the one that realized that she may be expecting a baby, because she was very sullen. She was very withdrawn, and he discovered that
teenager at the time.
She was a teenager at the time. And he found this out, that she was expecting a baby. And you can imagine, now I'm separated from husband number 2 at this time. So, he calls me and we've got this to face. Well, naturally, that whole weekend, I cried, I sobbed, I mourned for what was no longer going to be with her, because she was on the track to college, and this is the path, and that's where I thought life was going. And all of a sudden, a monkey wrench was thrown in that plan. But what happened as a result of this little surprise from Jesus, as I like to call him, was that Rick and I, her dad, we circled the wagons around this teenage daughter that needed her parents. It was no longer about me. It was no longer about him. It was about shoring up this daughter of ours and making sure that this new grandchild came into the world loved and cared for. So that was our mission. So my husband, Rick, her dad, started coming over again, to the house, no longer with, husband number 2 at this point. And we really reestablished our friendship at this point. Now, we had stayed friends the whole time. We never were enemies. We always had a good relationship, but we started seeing each other more. The baby came along. We saw each other more and more. And it came time for me to sell a home that I was in at the time. So we thought it might be a good idea for him to kind of be a roommate. He was going to have a room, Rick, Emily and William's dad, for him to have a room in our home. So we had a 4-bedroom home. So I'm like, oh, okay. It may have even been my idea. I'm like, why don't you move in? We'll share the expenses. We're great friends. We're still I'm deeply in the friend zone still. So we end up sharing a home together. And so that's, of course, how our friendship, developed more and more and more. And so that's where we are in the story right now. Now, would you like for me to tell you all how we ended up in the romantic zone? Amy, you know this story. Is it okay to tell it?
Like, I'm going to stop there? Are you kidding me? Of course we've got to get back to the romance zone. I can't wait.
Okay. And by the way, this whole time I am praying to God, Jesus, please give me these romantic feelings for this man. Again, handsome man, sweet man, funny man, the father of my kids. You would think that would be a no-brainer, but the romantic feelings just hadn't come around. he never really lost the romantic feelings, but he was very patient, like all these years. Now, you have to remember 9 years have passed since we were together romantically, maybe 10 years had passed. And he had now he had had girlfriends while we were divorced, of course, but he says he always hoped that we would reconcile. That was never in my mind. But we're in this home together. Our family's back together. We all enjoy each other immensely. My daughter and I are sharing the master bedroom. So one day I get home from work. Now, we had been living in this home for a couple of years at this point. And my daughter says to me, I get home and all her stuff is out of the room and her father's stuff is in the room, in the master bedroom. And I was like, Emily, what are you doing? She's like, Mom, I cannot share the room with you anymore. I'm moving Dad in. I'm like, absolutely not. I am not sleeping with your father. It's ridiculous. But we ended up sharing the room. He started on the floor in the master bedroom, and we just ended up like giggling in the middle of the night. And I even laid down some ground rules. I'm like, do not cross this line. Okay, these are the guidelines, and we can make this work. But over a period of time and many, many, many conversations and a lot of soul searching and a lot of fun, God gave me back those, I'm going to cry. God gave me back those feelings in tenfold. So, it was really an answer to prayer. And I know not everybody has the same situation. But, he took a divorce, a failed second marriage, an unplanned pregnancy, and turned it into this wonderful life that I'm enjoying right now. And, I'm every day I'm grateful. So yes, the grass is not always greener. As a matter of fact, once I went down the path of separating from my husband, things just, they don't go like you think. Now, for some people, they have to separate and divorce. I realize that is totally fine, acceptable, needed in some cases. In my case, it wasn't. So that's our story.
Remarried, right?
Do what?
You're remarried.
Yes, we remarried. Yes, we ended up remarrying. Yes. And I'm sorry?
How many years have you been remarried?
We've been remarried almost 7 now. So, and every day, we verbally pray a prayer of gratitude that this has happened to us. We feel so lucky. Took a lot of prayer, a lot of time, a lot of hard heads, a lot of awakenings. But, God took unusual circumstances, difficult circumstances, and helped us reconnect. So
isn't that, as a person of faith, isn't that the classic example from the Bible of God works all things together for the good of those who love him? I love the
absolutely.
way you describe it, a failed marriage, 2 failed marriages, an unplanned pregnancy, and all of a sudden there's beauty everywhere. So how do you like being a grandma?
I still can't get used to being called a grandma. I love being a grandma. He is the light of our lives. And, whenever Emily had never even babysat before, she'd never shown any interest in babies. So Rick and I didn't know if, hey, are we going to be raising this child as his parents? But absolutely not. She took to parenting just like a duck to water. And we love being his grandparents. And he comes over every weekend. And now his voice is deep. He's 14 years old now. And he is just amazing. And he, we credit him, and he knows all these circumstances. We credit him for being the catalyst that really reconciled our family. So we hold him in very high esteem in our family, and he's funny and great.
You know what? I'd love to just kind of go back and look over this. At first I sort of thought we titled this chapter "The Grass Isn't Greener on the Other Side," but I feel like after you told this story, I'm thinking, what do you think about fireworks are only for the 4th of July?
I love that. But guess what? I mean, there's lots of fireworks. Yes. Yeah. And you can get the fireworks back, but an important lesson to learn too is that, a big flame whooshes up and then it's gone. But that nice bed of hot embers, you can do a lot with a nice bed of hot embers. And so I think that's what a long time marriage has. It's just a really nice, thick, just deep coat of hot embers. And then sometimes there are sparks and big flames from those embers. And sometimes they're just nice and warm and there. So these are some things that I'm learning, from my experiences and from my mistakes.
You know what? I love the fact that isn't that what life is about? And I thank you and applaud you for being willing to share a difficult personal story with us because it will help others. And I always say sometimes we go through bad things just so that we will be relatable, so that we can help others who will come in our path and need to hear. There's someone out there who needs to hear Catherine Lane's story right now, and I hope they'll see it as the encouragement and the beautiful story that it is. And I'm just so proud and honored to call you my friend and
Oh, thank you, friend.
that you would share such a personal story with me and everyone in an effort to help.
Absolutely. I hope this does. And I've had friends. Oops. I'm sorry, Amy. Let me do something to the phone here.
We lost her.
Um,
She's still there.
okay. I don't know if I'm back right. You see, okay, I'm sorry about that. But it is such a blessing to be able to tell people. I had a kid at work come in and he said, "Hey, I'm just not happy with my marriage. I've got these two little girls, but I'm leaving." And by the grace of God, he reconsidered. I told him my story and he reconsidered and he's happy and very happy that he made that decision. And like I say, my story is not for everyone. But I hope that people will, not throw away something as sacred as a marriage, just because you're not happy or you're not getting certain warm fuzzies or you're exhausted or, this is what I've learned. And having said that, had we not gone through what we went through, I don't know that we'd have what we have now. But I definitely wouldn't have all those divorces if I could do it all over again. But I don't have regrets because we are where we are right now. We're very happy. We have a beautiful family. My children are very happy to see their parents together, and there's just a lot of gratitude and love.
We love gratitude and love. And I'm just, again, the lessons, and you have that one example of someone that was in your office that because of your difficulties and the challenges that you had, you saved a couple of babies from not having to be tousled back and forth between two different parents. And the question is, because I know you've shared this openly on your radio show as well, you may never know this side of heaven how many dozens or hundreds or thousands of people whose families were kept together because of the difficulty and the so-called failure in your life that has led to great joy and so much beauty.
Thank you, Amy.
And so for that, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will wish you all the best at this year's American Country Music Awards. I already think you're the on-air personality of the year, so I don't care what they say. But when do we find out?
We will find out probably, let's see, probably mid-March. And this is a team. This is a team I'm on. It's the Tanner in the Morning Show team. So I just work with some really great people, get to come into work and laugh and have a great time and play great music. And, it blows us away that somebody would say we're doing a good job at that. So, but we should know in a couple of months. Like I say, we've been the bridesmaid 17 times and the bride once. So we're not counting our chickens, but it's fun to get the nomination for sure.
I always say it's great to be invited to the party.
Absolutely.
And
you got that right, sister.
If you're in the Charlotte area, you gotta listen to their morning show on New Country 1037. It's amazing and they're so fun. And I'm just, again, honored to call Catherine Lane a dear friend. And so thanks for sharing your story, sweetheart. Have a fabulous week.
Thank you, Amy. You too. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. I am so excited that you had the opportunity to hear from my friend Catherine Lane. She's an amazing person, a great country music DJ in the Charlotte region. And what I really love is the fact that the vulnerability and the willingness to help others through her failure. You know, there are so many people out there, and I've had the good fortune of interviewing many of them. If you head to my YouTube channel, Amy Burkett, no E at the end of Burkett, Burkett, you'll be able to listen to interviews from folks from all around the world who care more about helping others than being embarrassed about their own failures. Because failures often are not setbacks, they're set ups. And so I just want to encourage you to learn more and to grow and to subscribe to my YouTube channel because people are sharing in an effort to help you have a better life. And so again, soon it's going to be a book. We're going to put it all together, hopefully by the end of the year, and turn it into a book. That'll be my second book. If you're interested in my first book, it's available on Amazon. It's called The 7 Ds to Your Destiny, and was such an honor to share with folks. So thanks so much. And until next time, remember, you were created for greatness.